All right. Elina, thank you so much for hopping on. Whereabouts are you sitting right now?
Thanks to Belgium, cold
Belgium.
Belgium for the moment.
What's the weather like there?
In centigrades, we measure it in centigrade, so it's like 10.
10. Okay. Rainy, sunny. What's the feel like
Rainy.
out there?
Yeah, yeah, rainy, but you know what? We've got beautiful, beautiful autumn this year, so can't complain.
Cool, cool. So for everyone out there, Elina just put on probably one of the best conferences I've seen for the freelance community. It was a full month. It was a full freelance business month, and I don't know how you did it, how in the world you did it. So we'll get deeper into that later. But just wanted to let everyone know, sort of, if you were there, you realized how awesome it was. If you weren't, next year, Elina, you better do it next year. But yeah, so so Elina, so let's just start with a little bit of background, like who are you, sort of where are you originally from, and how'd you get into freelancing? And actually, let's start with what do you do? Because I'm sorry, I totally skipped that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course. By profession, I'm an event producer. So naturally, if I do something, these are events. And I've been in in event business for almost 20 years by now. 5 years, oh yeah, 5 plus minus years ago, I started on my own because I was kind of sick and tired of working for someone and, spending hours and hours on producing events. And event profession is considered to be, I think, fifth the most stressful. So you can imagine if you spend hours on someone, you probably think, I can do the same, but just for myself, or earn the same money, but just working for clients directly. So I navigated into freelancing and started working with various companies. And eventually, as you start doing it out of the blue, like, not even Googling what it takes to be a freelancer, what it takes to start your own business, you start questioning yourself, okay, can I find someone who can help me with finding clients or, market yourself properly? And so by doing that, I started working with other freelancers who saw the same interest like me. And we started doing events for freelancers. 3 years ago was the first live conference in Brussels for Belgian freelancers. But I always felt kind of tight in one country because, yeah, my market is international. I do projects all over the world and my clients are all over the world. So for me, it was like, yeah, Belgium, okay, small country, but it's not enough for me. I was waiting for the moment when I can roll out European version of freelance business conference. And thanks to COVID, that became the reality because, producing event somewhere in a hub city would take lots and lots, much more effort and much more money, obviously. So that's how it all happened, plus minus. And indeed, we had 31 days of talks about different freelancers' issues. And now 2 weeks after, I'm like, oh, what have I done? I still need time to process it and, see what we have got as a result, actually. Because there's lots of learnings and lots of information to digest.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I'm gonna ask the question about 5 questions down the road, but I really want to hear some of the insights, especially because a lot of freelancers, you're now fully, you've been fully digital and fully remote for the most part. But what are some of the key insights now that everybody is online? What are keeping people excited? What are people getting bored of? Can't wait to sort of get into that. But so, let's start with square one. So you decide it's 5 years ago. You're like, hey, I want to start freelancing. Want to start working for myself. What seems interesting is you said you jumped in working with other freelancers, but so just walk us through, like, what were you feeling like when you left? Did you just do a full jump where you quit your company, had no idea what was going to happen? Did you do more of a soft launch where you were freelancing on the side? Yeah, let's get to sort of day zero.
Yeah, I guess it's for everyone is different. For me, it was I was wanting to do that for a long, but it never was the right moment. And somehow, dots come to one point, and then, mm, yeah, to put it straight, I just walk away with the client from a company. Why? Because the company was not treating the client well. Client saw that and client liked me, so it was an easy switch for me. Too bad for the company. I guess they realized it after, but so it was, yeah, from one day to another, it was a quick switch on a almost full contract, which is even better for starting freelancer. So for me, it's never been a question, okay, and tomorrow I start and what do I do? So I've got the contract pretty much quickly. So I guess it was an easy shortcut for me. Um, but I was thinking about it for long. I just never could find the right moment to do so.
And what would you say was that spark? Was the spark where you saw your company that you were working for treating the client wrong, and you were like, you know what, screw this. Like, finally, I'm off. Like, what was that spark though? What was different between the day you left versus, or what got you to leave versus the 20 years prior?
Yeah. Well, never been intention to screw anyone, obviously. But as you building relationship, right? And that's probably the key. You start building relationship with your clients, whether you work in a company for someone, and client sees that. So we kind of started questioning, okay, what's going on? I didn't feel good enough defending the position of my management at that time, and I was open with the client. The client saw that, so they said, okay, you know what, we're gonna break up that contract anyway, we're not gonna continue, but we do like you, so what's your plan? And my plan was just to launch my own thing, and that's how we actually came together into collaboration.
Gotcha. So okay, day zero for you actually might have been day 90 or day 180 or day 360, because I want to hear what happened from one contract to 2 to 4 to 8 to what you're doing now. Because I think that's one of the general things with freelancers is when you start off hot. You make more money than you ever had. The contract size is larger. You're working more than you ever had. You love the fact you have no boss, but then a year or 2 years down the road, you're like, oh crap, like this is kind of drying up. There's no projects next month. What in the world do I do? Do I have to spam everyone I know? But yeah, so walk us through sort of what happened from that client and that contract to 2 to 4 to 8 to 20.
Yeah, I think I've made this common mistake like many freelancers, or especially contractors, are making. And that is, I've got this big contract and I'm like, hey, life is beautiful. I don't need to worry about anything. Money is coming, so I'm safe. And I signed directly like very long contract for several years. So I didn't worry really about losing that customer, because then the conditions were as such that they would pay me well. And I wasn't looking too much into having anything else. Well, first of all, I didn't have time for that. Secondly, I was just so sure about myself, I guess. But then, yeah, things happen, management changes, and like companies going into different periods of their corporate life. So eventually contract was not extended, and I ended up in a situation like, damn, now I need to really look carefully into what I do. There was little things here and there, but not into equivalent of what I had. So that's probably one mistake I would advise to avoid, is really don't put all your eggs in one basket. Try to diversify the income streams. And that's what we discuss actually during freelance business months as well. And then I kind of looked into, okay, what can help me to reach out to higher levels? So I took one volunteering position, which really helped me to raise my visibility in the industry as an event professional. And I was president of local chapter of Meeting Professionals International. That's a global association for event industry. And through that, I just built my network like crazy, really. And then running freelance events on the sides helped me to build freelance network with the professionals who can help me in case I have questions, or in case I run projects and I need extra help. So that was a little bit of a path for me.
Yeah. So let's get into this network piece, right? Let's because I think, you said it in the beginning, you've said it now, but let's start with this. What is a network? Like, what does the definition of having a network mean to you?
That's a good question, because you may know lots and lots of people, but what's the use of it if you need some help, right? So for me, it was really knowing what people are doing, and knowing so deep that I can actually understand what they're doing. And why do I need to do that? Because then I can apply and think of them directly in case someone is asking. And even if a client asking something not related to an event, but at least I can, bring someone or recommend a business to a fellow freelancer. So it's, yeah, like now they say the power is in micro communities. So maybe that's the thing that you need to think of. Not creating a big network, but really small one, but everyone, plus minus, to the point that you can understand what they're doing, and you can remember what they do. That's important.
So how do you, because you nailed it, right? And I think not to get too geeky, but like this is the history of technology, right? We go large, we go small, we go large, we go small, we decouple, we uncouple, we decouple. So, and with networks, it's no different. We've had Facebook and Instagram where you can have millions of friends. Everyone thinks you're super cool. In reality, no one actually likes you. Whereas what you're talking about is like you have 50 friends that adore you and that you love. And that when a client comes in and says, can you do this? You say, no, I can't, but you should definitely meet with so-and-so. They're an awesome website designer, or they're an awesome Bluetooth engineer, something of that matter. So let's, how do you do that? Like, how do you meet these people? How do you remember these people? And how do you actually add value to them?
How do you
and
remember?
who are these people actually? Because let's start with that. Let's start with what does your network look like?
Well, probably I can give you an example of a very large project that I did. Was actually in the US, where client contracted me to run an event for like 1,000 people, live event. So it's mega complex. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not able to pull it alone. So I need to have certain people. And obviously I know the requirements for those people. Like I need to have technicians, I need to have someone who would be responsible for catering and security and so on and so on. And then you just, and that's when the problem comes, like you're trying to remember, okay, who can help me with that? And you don't. So if you have the profiles in mind already in advance, like you know your business, you know what sort of requirements can come, and you deliberately connect with people who may cover those gaps, and you at least have a talk with them, and to see where the potential business can bring to you together. It's a difficult question, I have to say, because now if you have bad memory, it's like useless to do so. I know some people run it like a tracking of people, but that's really, you have to be mega organized. But for me, what works is actually thinking of a projects ahead, even if I don't have them yet. For instance, now we're going into digital events mostly, so it's a lot of digital marketing that comes with it. So I look into profiles, okay, who can do that? So I can build the packages for clients.
And I wonder, so you meet this freelancer. So one thing that we've all felt and we've been increasingly hearing is like, okay, right now you have a network of 5 core freelancers that you love. It's easy when you have 5 core freelancers, but then you want to increase your scale of the work that you can do and the diversity you can provide. And so you go up to 10 freelancers, then 15 to 20. But as you scale, how do you actually start to trust these freelancers? Do you just say, yes, this is great, here's a project? Do you have an onboarding project, a little test project that you do with them initially? Do you have a tiny scope of work that they do for the client, but you're able to monitor? So how do you actually start collaborating with these people? Do you just full trust from the start? Do you have a tester? How do you know, this is the right person that is going to be in my cloud?
Well, I think you have to start with trust. I mean, if you approach someone without a trust, there is no point to even start working. And it's, I guess if you collaborate with freelancer, we are professionals. So if you see something is not coming as you agreed, that's it, that's just end of the story. You can maybe give one chance, second chance, but normally for me, if asked after first one, it's okay, finished, another one. It's not that I'm being strict, but in my line of business, it's professionalism is mega important in regards that things has to happen by the deadline. So if things are not happening, it just most of the time end of the story. Now it's difficult, of course, if you have specific contracts that would not allow you. So maybe, start small, like you mentioned. That's a good
Gotcha.
suggestion.
Gotcha. I think what you nailed is the being outcome based. So one huge uniquely difference when you're working with freelance teams is that each one of you are an expert in some specific outcome, right? Whether it's building the website, building the landing page, the front end design of the website, the actual article written for it, the SEO, whatever it is. It's not like when you go work for a company when it's like, okay, we're going to have 6 months of onboarding. And then after 6 months, you should be ready to roll. Like, no, you better deliver outcomes ASAP. So, okay, what I want to do now is I want to just dig into an ideal project, and I want the audience to kind of feel like you are like decoding this project. So what they can take away is, oh my God, this is how I should be running my projects in my business. So let's start by like, what is what has been your favorite project that you've done to date?
Oh God. I'd probably mention the freelance business month for several reasons. Just because it's been the most recent project with so many freelancers involved. Okay, it was based on a volunteering effort, and that changes things. But I think it's we can, do some learnings from that.
Gotcha. So what about this project? So give us like the timeline. What was the scope required for this project? Yeah, let's try to make it as scientific as we can.
Okay. Wow, it's still I'm still in the process actually, to put things together for myself, but it's a good start. We had 2 months. So I have announced publicly that the event is going on 1st of August. I'm just trying to remember, by about mid-August, I've got the team. And how it happened is that I was prepared to run it myself, just alone, as crazy as I am. But somehow, once you share cool ideas and crazy ideas, people like to jump and help. And that's how I actually built a team of 15 people to join me. And we had people from like graphic designer, creative director, and lots and lots of event planners who actually would like to get the opportunity to experience virtual event. So for them, it was an extra exposure, an extra like add on to their portfolio that they run this event together. So what happened in a way is that for me, it was quite a process to think, okay, I have these people who are willing to give me time and who are willing to experience this. How do I make it as simple as possible? So it took a while to actually think, okay, what I can delegate and what would I still like to keep for myself in order to keep more control. Once I realized, okay, I'm going to delegate, and I'm going to be fine the way they're going to run it without giving any instructions, because I know they're professional and they can do it. I was fine. So for instance, we had one task that they had to pull off, and actually, it was clear that this person is not going to be involved just because nothing's been delivered as we agreed. Like I mentioned, okay, let's agree on something, you deliver, and we continue. Even though that was a volunteer, I had to kind of stop this because it's not going to work. I would keep relying on that person wouldn't be delivering, and that would affect the entire project. So yeah, does that explain a little bit?
A little bit. Here's the next question that I think the probably best way to ask it and to answer it. So, all right, let's say you're a freelancer, or a freelancer has asked you, or let's say you're on the elevator with a potential client and you were going to sell a freelance business month, and they're going to say, what can you do for me? And this client is saying, my leadership told me I've been tasked with throwing this incredible event once a year, and now it's going to be digital and I have no idea what I'm doing. So what would be your elevator pitch for that client in terms of, and let's include sort of the price and sort of what's involved.
Okay, are you asking me to sell the freelance business month as a project?
Yes.
All right. That's a difficult one, because I would pitch that project to freelance suppliers,
okay.
Like yourself, for instance. So I would bring all the data that we have collected, all the exposure that partners received during that month, all the topics we covered, and all the feedback we've got. And I would try to get them on board as partners.
Gotcha. Okay. So the business model for you is the partners. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a time when companies ask for you to, because I've been involved where we've hosted big events like Freelance Business Month, and we've had freelancers execute it, and it's been project manager freelancers that their specialty is putting on events. And so they would come in and they would say, I forget the price, but I'd say like $20,000, or like, hey, it'll be $20,000 flat, and then anything added will be a per hourly rate. But so have you done projects as such like that, where you're like, hey, we'll throw on this event for X dollars. It'll last a day, a week, for your case, a month, which is still insane. But yeah, have you been exposed to that?
Well, it's interesting because, and it's actually a big question of the event industry in general, because we know how much a live event project costs, plus minus. So I have that information. I don't think anyone has any view right now, like a holistic view on how much a virtual event costs actually in production.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
Which is an opportunity for you to teach, because this is one of the big things about hiring a freelancer too, is it makes me smart if I'm the corporate decision maker, right? And I would do this all the time, not gonna lie. I would hire a freelancer for stuff I didn't know because it would get an outcome, but then they would also teach me what I should know. So it was a quicker way to reskill myself.
yeah, so in terms of time, like I've seen a little bit increase in terms of project fees for online events. For several reasons. First, it's kind of scary. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what it takes actually to produce. And for instance, equivalent of like I can have a digital event in a month. The cost would be the same as I would have a live event in like 6 months. So I can have more events now. Frequency is increased. Number of hours probably decrease a little bit depending on a complexity, of course, but I can earn more money actually this way than doing live events.
Yeah,
so I kind of like prices.
Interesting. So let's get into the sort of the big findings that you've had from the Freelancer Business Month in terms of what works, what doesn't work. And by the way, I feel so privileged that we get to hear this. I've been wanting to ask you this for the whole month. I've been holding that email of like, oh no, don't tell me over email. Let's wait till we get Freelancer Talk so everyone can hear. But yeah, let's get into the findings. I think everyone's sort of on the edge of their seat wondering what the hell actually happens at a virtual event and what is the material impact and the KPIs and all that crap. But so let's hear the findings.
Well, I wish I would prepare the presentation for that one because I do have some numbers, but there's a lot of information I'm still processing, like I mentioned, because the beauty of online is that you have so much data. And the crazy thing is that you need to set in advance, and I always teach my clients, you need to set in advance what you want to measure. And this is something I haven't done for myself. Why? Because it was one big experiment for me just to see what's going to happen and how things will go. And then secondly, I thought, okay, I'll get everything what I've generated, and then I'll just spend as much time as necessary for me to kind of see what are the trends, what are the behavior patterns, and so forth and so on. So what we've noticed is, and it's been a big argument also in the event community, is like engagement at online events, like how it should be and what should it like, how should it look like. And what I noticed is actually that we've got like more than 900 registrations for the event. We didn't reach 1,000. That was my goal, but still I'm happy with 900. Then we've got like about 600 active participants on the platform. So those who logged in, who watched the videos, who attended the sessions. And then we had about 35 active users. So from that, I can deduct that, percentage of, this bigger community, this kind of middle side community, and then the most active ones. And then if I would run again, I would look, okay, is it the same percentage? Is this a trend? Or is it like, did something wrong first time and I do something better this time, or vice versa? So these are the interesting statistics. And then I was at certain point getting frustrated, like, okay, why people are not joining for live events? Like if we have the Zoom meeting, why people are not joining? But when I looked at how much actually they spend time on viewing after, I was impressed. It was almost twice much of hours that they spent on the platform afterwards. So these are interesting insights that people do like to digest information the way they want it and at the time they want it. So schedule doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, there are a little bit of like people prefer earlier sessions than later in the day, which is normal. So something to take into account for next one. But a part of that, I'm looking forward to dig deeper into the content itself, like which subjects actually tracked better, both online, like live and recording wise. Yeah, all that.
How do you determine sort of what are the like key performance indicators that you're shooting for? Because I feel like there's so many different things, right? Like it could have been signups and then you would have had 900 and you could be like, oh my God, look, we had 900. But then like you mentioned, there's only 35 active users. And now to throw in even another, a huger curveball is like Eventurel. If we were to put on an event, we actually really don't care how much people show up or how many users. It's all about engagement. And then how many freelancers then took that thing and increased their earnings by 2x or 3x. So how, what KPIs were you focused on? And even for your clients, like, how do you determine what these KPIs are?
It all starts, talking about clients, it all starts with the goal of the event. And they can be like free. I define free. It's purely a marketing event. When you really want to have a mass exposure, then generating revenue. And sometimes it's like for association events, you really need to generate funds to support your activities or demonstrating your expertise. And some of them can be linked, some of them cannot. It really depends. So you have to set these objectives. With this event, I had marketing goal. So I really wanted to have a big exposure. That's why I never, I didn't set the price for the event. I really wanted to have as open as possible, with one goal to support freelancers in these difficult times, but also to raise visibility for freelance business community as such. I found the times where now is a great opportunity to do so. So I couldn't really miss that chance. Once you set that goal, then all further actions will fall into that. And I just lost your question. KPIs. All right. So KPIs was 1,000 attendees, like I mentioned. I didn't reach that one, but still I'm happy that we got 900, because like we did it from scratch almost. Like we don't have 900 active. We never had 900 active participants at our events. Then also when I look like how my website, how social media is performing, it's like this, it's rocket sky. So definitely visibility improved. Number of requests that I received during the event itself about potential partnerships in the future is also demonstrating that actually it was the right thing to do. So there is that's how you set up, KPIs. If it's marketing, obviously number of attendees or number of actions that you want them to perform after. If it's revenue, obviously you'd have your monetary equivalent. If you demonstrate expertise, then you have to evaluate how this expertise has been accepted by your audience. So it's a very complicated process, to be honest, just in the simple words.
Yeah. So the elevator pitch. So going back to the elevator pitch, right, for freelancers that are in the event space, looking to be like you, quite frankly, I think it really comes down to those three value propositions of what a client is looking for, which it was marketing, it was revenue, and it was expertise. Were those the three? Okay, the three drivers. Gotcha. Super helpful. So key finding. Do you have like one key insight that the audience should take away from Freelance Business Month?
Don't be afraid to just launch your ideas. And that's what I said at my closing speech very shortly. But this entire project started as an idea. And of course, the feeling like you launch something and then, okay, one registration's coming, 250. It's not going well. What do I do? Like there is no way back. But then eventually you put all the efforts and it happens. So whatever crazy ideas you have, you'll never be able to judge whether it's good or not until you launch it. So go for it. That's the main takeaway.
I love it. I love that. All right, launch the crazy idea right now. So if you're listening to this, press X right now, launch that crazy idea, and skip these next three questions. Okay, you have a lightning round. You have less than 30 seconds for each question, and we're gonna go quick. You ready? Okay. What is your favorite book?
Silk Road by Peter Frankopan.
Oh, good answer. What's your favorite tool out there?
Technology tool, Zoom.
Nice.
I'm on it all the day.
Last one, you ready? What is your favorite animal?
Dogs.
What type of dog? Do you have a specific breed?
No, just any dogs.
Oh, that's so awesome. Big dog or small dog?
Big dog.
Big dog, yeah, that fits your personality. Nice. Elina, thank you so much for hopping on.
Well, thank you too. It was a pleasure.